What is up, guys and gals of the Medicare Monsters Facebook group? Anybody else out there that's watching us? Looks like we got some people coming on here live. Please hit us up with a comment. Let us know where you're watching from. Post your post your cop-outs below. Post your cop-outs below. I guess did I write that? I guess Sid wrote that for me. He knows me so well. Knows me so well. So listen, guys. Was talking yesterday in the university phone call, and then put up, some posts last night. They got a lot of traction talking about insurance industry evolution, or not insurance industry, but mainly the Medicare niche evolution for the brokerage community. And so I wanted to explain some of my thoughts, since apparently some people were offended that I make predictions about what the industry will do. A prediction about what an industry will do is not me saying that I want the small agent, or I'm not valuing the small agent, right? Hey, Joe, that is a Matthew Murray line you're stealing there. So, but I did dab, so it is live, a real live. And listen, I want you guys to know that I value the small agent. As far as a Medicare beneficiary is concerned, they are best served by small community agents, typically, as long as they're well educated. Now, there are some small community agents that are sitting there, not completely pandering to one product set or the other. There are small community agents that push Medicare Advantage on everybody. There's small community agents that push Medicare supplements on everybody, all sorts of things like that. And so anyway, I want you to know that the well-educated small community agent obviously is best for the Medicare beneficiary. But at the end of the day, money at the top, which we know controls everything, right? I mean, surely we have to start with the premise that, the biggest businesses, the largest carriers don't push these products out because they don't invest, billions of dollars annually because of the individual small member. It doesn't mean that some of their employees don't have that as a focal mission, but the shareholder at the end of the day does what they do with their money for profit. That's what they do it for. Okay. And when we start with the premise that that's what's going to shift the narrative is where is the money flowing, then we can have an honest conversation and take the emotion out of it. You sitting with, Bette Midler or Betty Moore or whoever in her living room, and the feel good feeling that it gives you to make sure that she's taken care of is wonderful. And I completely condone that. We enjoy that as well. We have a community agency. I started off in the living room of Miss Betty and Miss Bet as well. I did not start off as a private equity group coming in and consolidating things. I didn't do that, but I'm not going to base my family's solvency and the lifestyle they've become accustomed to in the future of the potential of for my family and my legacy on emotion. I'm going to base it on what I believe is going to happen. And if I'm preparing for the worst case scenario, the best way that I know how, and what I mean, preparing myself financially and my solvency for the betterment of my own family, and my prediction doesn't come true, I still come out ahead. And so I'm not telling anyone that you should have to that you should get out of the industry or anything like that. What I'm saying is, if you don't adapt, based on what I'm seeing, and I'm going to give you some reasons why I think this is going to happen. Based on what I'm seeing, it's more important now than ever to think bigger. And I'll make some more. I'm going to add a little emotion to that as I'm talking about removing it. The most fulfilling thing I've done so far in this industry is not helping Betty with her Medicare. It's helping John and Lisa and Tom, with their livelihood and their family's livelihood, by giving them a role within this industry where they can help more and more of the Bettys and make money doing it. That's been very rewarding. And so I think sometimes the small community agents, like, I want to do 50 applications a year, I want to do 100 applications a year, I want to help 37 people a year, whatever. in some ways, and I'm not going to go as far as some people have gone as to say it's selfish, but I will say that you're probably not understanding the real selflessness, or I don't even say selflessness, really, the real impact on your own feel good, sense of helping other people help more people. And I'm not talking about recruiting them in, because I think that the recruiting side can get pretty crazy where you just like recruit with no value proposition. I'm talking about building businesses where you can hire people that would never be insurance agents because you learn how to create enough momentum within your brand name and the market that you're in to feed multiple families as well, which impacts your ability to help more Medicare beneficiaries with quality, right? I'm not saying create the low value proposition call center. I'm not saying recruit a bunch of people with no value proposition. We're talking about building businesses with quality. And we're seeing this in businesses that started without quality, with quantity in mind, because now they're backwards engineering into how to keep people on the books, how to make sure that the plans work better. Now you're starting to see the Medicare Advantage landscape has shifted so much over the years, where the geographic offering, the network evolution, places that used to turn Medicare Advantage beneficiaries away are now sponsoring and co-branding, partnering with Medicare Advantage carriers to roll out their own Medicare Advantage plan, entire hospital systems. The landscape for the market is changing very, very rapidly. And, it's good. So the future's so bright, I have to wear shades. It's still true. The future is bright. However, there are some things that are changing that if your horizon is staying in this market for more than 10 years, I would say that you need to prepare differently than somebody who's, let's say, 67 years old and is okay, working their book and their referrals for the next 3, 4, 5 years, and then, getting out of the business. Completely different people. So I'm not telling you if you're 65 years old, that you need to go and start building a big business. I'm not Gary Vaynerchuk and telling you it's never too late. You're 80. I'm also not telling you not to do that. If you have the energy to do that and that's what you want to do, that's fine. But nothing that I'm talking about is aimed at forcing anyone to do something they don't want to do. But there's plenty of people that will pander to the majority of human beings' desire to do less. Because the hard message is do more, climb the next mountain, and do more. That's the hard message. Nobody likes the message, because especially if they've already climbed one mountain and they're making 100,000 a year, 200,000 a year, 300,000 a year, a million a year, whatever it is, 50,000 a year for some people, they feel gratified at that. What I'm trying to say is, if you're going to stand the test of time throughout the coming change, I believe that you have to be bigger to survive. You're going to have quantity to survive. This could be via commission cuts. This could be via continuous consolidation to where there are quotas to even maintain your appointment. And there are some reasons that I think this is going to happen. One is that right now we have been in a massive momentum shift in the Medicare market, where we have more and more lives every year that are, active Medicare beneficiaries. And we have geographic expansion happen simultaneously, chronic and dual special needs plan evolution simultaneously, more and more hospital systems struggling financially and needing to partner with Medicare Advantage carriers or find alternate revenue sources. We've had all that happening. We've been in this massive momentum shift, but we've went from, and I don't know the numbers from years ago, but I'll give you an example here. In Mississippi, we've went from like a 12% Medicare Advantage penetration rate in 2014 to recently we're probably over 30% in this area, the county the counties that we operate in, right? But the national landscape has now hit 52% Medicare Advantage penetration rate. So if we're at 52%, and that's 50% of all Medicare Advantage beneficiaries, not the eligible individual Medicare Advantage versus Medicare Supplement market, right? This is Medicare Advantage penetration rate for the entire Medicare beneficiary landscape, including TRICARE, group, people that go with nothing, MedSup, Medicare Advantage, everything, right? Individual Medicare Advantage, everything. 52% Medicare Advantage penetration. What is the highest amount of Medicare Advantage penetration? Well, barring some extreme legal changes, like Medicare for all in the, with the real intent to be Medicare Advantage for all, which I could see happening. And that would change the entire projection that I have. The entire projection is shifted with Medicare for all being Medicare Advantage for all. I don't think that the ideological left-wing agenda for true fee-for-service Medicare for all or Medicaid for all will happen. I don't think it'll happen in my lifetime. Politics is fast and slow at the same time, and there's not really a lot of I don't know what the name for I don't know what the name for rhino is on the Democrat side, but dinos. There's not enough ideological Democrats, like people that are actually proponents of that. Most are still bought and paid for by lobbyists, or at least supported heavily by revenue that isn't going to support them if they try to cut out these large multi-billion-dollar insurance carriers and PBMs and pharmaceutical groups, et cetera, right? So they're going to, pretend to regulate the way that they have. They might change some things, but the big shift, I don't think is going to happen. Okay. And the big shift, I believe, would be good for the independent broker community, because the more expansion there is, the more they have to scrape the bottom of the barrel to find every single person that they can to write business. And when I say the bottom of the barrel, don't get it twisted. I'm not saying you guys are the bottom of the barrel in quality, but as far as a relationship with a carrier, you're basically just somebody with a pen that's willing to go out there to sit in the living room, or somebody that's willing to pick up the phone. If they don't need as many of those people to do what they're to hit the numbers that they need to hit, then where's the cut going to happen? Okay. So I'll tell you some reasons that I believe this. So we've had FMO consolidation. That's been going on pretty rapidly for a while. The biggest independent marketing groups in the country have been purchased by groups that say they're IMOs, but they're not. They're PE conglomerates with the intention of flipping or going public. Probably going public, but when that happens, the entire narrative has changed. A public company is beholden to shareholders. Profit is number one. Profit often comes from cuts. It might be cuts for employees. This is not necessarily bad for the remaining independent marketing groups as well, because, anytime that there's big shifts like that, there's a lot of people to gain from it. However, the FMO consolidation is certainly changing the landscape. When you have these old marketing groups that, had just tremendous amounts of production under them that have been gobbled up by bigger conglomerates, that's shifting things. Carriers are starting to acquire distribution. If carriers are acquiring distribution, their economics and the things that they look for are different than what the independent conglomerate that's buying up all the IMOs are looking for. The revenue model is different. The real look would be, how can this independent marketing group and our control of this segment of the market impact positively the core goal of this carrier? And the different carriers have different core goals, but they're overlapping in sorts. So in the Medicare industry, it's all covered lives, Medicare Advantage, MedSup. And obviously Medicare Advantage from a revenue stance is winning. Okay, so carriers acquiring distribution. What if carriers acquire Integrity Marketing Group in AmeriLife? I'm telling you, everything's for sale. Community brands being purchased by consolidators or dying out. So I think there's a huge play right now for small local brands to be bought and leveraged. And I have done this, if I buy a community brand somewhere, where someone has 15 years of brand recognition behind their name, and I buy it, and then I shift that momentum to my call center that's somewhere else. And when I say call center, don't think bad call center live transfers. What if I'm taking my call center apparatus that I've built and I'm focusing the marketing that's going there into a center of agents somewhere else that are employee agents, LOA, and now I'm getting high quality traffic. So I'll give you a case study. We bought a business called Gary Alford Insurance, an hour and a half from here. He had a large, block of Medicare consumers. We continue to market as Gary Alford Insurance because part of the acquisition is goodwill. We're owning that name brand. He speaks positively of us. If people call him, he has to refer them to us. He's retired. It's a good deal for all. But when they call, the intention is very high because they're talking to Gary Alford Insurance, Bobby Brock Insurance, Justin Brock, whoever, the community agent. And when they call, they have trust in that name because of the wildfire of referrals. They'll buy multiple products. The persistency is high. But does it mean that Gary Alford or Justin Brock or Bobby Brock have to sit in front of them to get the same effect? We can get 95% of the same effect with an LOA agent over the phone now, as long as the intention of the marketing or the intention of the prospect was, I was referred or I have positive name equity with this agency that I know has been around and local for a long time. I could keep a little office there if I wanted to, staff it with 1 or 2 people. You could do this. And when carriers and large IMOs with money to buy all these people out understand this, they can then buy these community high quality brands, just like they've done in the recruiting space. They can buy it and they can basically shift the production to entities where they own the entire revenue stream. Okay. Why would they share that with a guy that's doing 33 applications a year in, Timbuktu? Another concept, Medicare Advantage penetration rate. Going back to that. What happens when the Medicare Advantage penetration rate is, 75%? MedSup is whatever, 20%. And then you have a viable market share left of 5% of Medicare beneficiaries that are probably on like TRICARE, that don't want a Medicare Advantage plan, or just like die hard, not going to do it, or they're Medicare only and they're just like, screw it. Or, you can't find them. They live at Skid Row in Los Angeles. There are people that are unfindable, and the market isn't growing anymore because really the plateau somewhere between 2027, 2030, then it's going to be maintaining. There'll be as many people dying as staying on Medicare or is coming on Medicare. So you're having a plateau effect. So you need people to write the age-ins. But to write the age-ins and service the block, do I need the hunters that are out there in the wild finding these people, building these relationships? Or do I need to have partnerships with hospital networks and own these community brands, and then have the operational infrastructure to do that from anywhere? Okay. That's what I would call critical mass. Medicare penetration rate, the growth rate is not as sharp, and they have to start slowing down. We already saw CMS cut reimbursement rates for Medicare Advantage plans this year. And so we have seen, if you look at kind of some of the outlines of new plans coming into the market, or the plan benefit expansion slowed a little bit. Do I think that there will be another uptick in Medicare Advantage reimbursement rates? Probably, under a different administration. So retention over new sales. They'll start focusing on retention over new sales other than age-ins. I think there will be the potential for AI to have some sort of impact on this. It's not an AI doomsday, but I'd be remiss to not think that at some point AI will alleviate some of the cost and burden. We're already seeing this in healthcare scheduling and billing. So it'll definitely impact the distribution phase at some point. And the psychological shift of prospects as they become younger and younger and younger. And by younger and younger and younger, I don't mean they still won't be 65, but a 65-year-old 20 years from now is not the same 65-year-old you're dealing with today. And the 65-year-old you're dealing with today is not the same as the 85-year-old that was 65 years old 20 years ago. I said it on stage at Medicare Con. People that are turning 65 now are too young to have been at Woodstock. They were too young to go to Vietnam. That's not the same person that was in World War II or that grew up during the Great Depression. It's a different person. Okay. Don't think of them all the same. The psychological shift continues. It's why so many agencies that have dominated SEO have done so well. People trust the internet more and more and more. Okay. So, and if they trust the internet, they'll trust LOA agents, AI, or some combination thereof. Again, mentioned a minute ago, boomers will start dying. And I'm not positive on this. I haven't really looked at it enough. I'm not saying the Medicare market when it would start shrinking, but it would definitely plateau at some point. Okay, so there's also a carrier we were talking to has 230,000 appointed agents. There is a cost associated with it. Recently, there are groups that are getting bonuses from carriers to hire LOA agents. And the bonuses are in the thousands of dollars, right? So if there's bonuses that big to hire LOA agents, they value those LOA agents more than they value independents. So they're not paying to recruit independent agents. Also, they just know that the production per LOA is higher. It is, because that's what they care about. And with 230,000 agents, they've told us that it's less than 30,000 of them submitting an application every year. Far less than 30,000. That's one of the biggest Medicare Advantage carriers in the country, if not the biggest. It's not the biggest, but it is big, very big. So 230,000 appointed agents and 200,000 of them not writing a single application. Why would we think they're going to continue that madness forever? The guaranteed, the almost guarantee that a W-2 employee who becomes an agent in my office, that they're going to write applications, it's almost guaranteed. Almost guaranteed. So why would they not invest in something predictable versus just madness? Now, right now, they're doing that and they're investing into the brokerage distribution because they still have so much growth that they need every single tentacle to reach people. None of this is bad or good. It just is. Okay. Factors that change my outlook. I was saying it earlier, left-wing ideologue, Medicare for all, like true, what some conservatives would call Medicaid for all, true private fee-for-service, Medicare for all. I can't imagine it not being a huge problem for the country to do that anyway, but I just don't even think there's enough Democrats that support it. There's not all that many Democrats that really support it. And there's like 0 Republicans that support it. So it's very unlikely. But there could be a cop-out variation of Medicare Advantage for all. And so the positive side for that is my outlook would completely change with Medicare Advantage for all or Medicare Advantage for more, ACA market growth combination with Medicare Advantage for more, or Medicare going down to age 60, something like that. Obviously, that's going to open up so much more potential that will have to, the carriers would still need the brokerage distribution. Okay. They would need it longer. Okay. So if that happens, that would expand my outlook. Anything that expands the potential market exponentially. I do think ACA growth, and look, if you're building an agency, if you're building it multi-line, if you're getting into the financial investment side of things, all that's great. That makes you more diverse and impenetrable. You could also build very, very quickly to scale and sell. You could build community brands that are desirable for, people that are gobbling up community brands and books. You can build so big that you're probably relevant enough to continue to work with the remaining IMO concept down the road, or even have direct to carrier contracts. I don't know exactly how this is going to evolve, but I do believe that over time, when if the market landscape gets to the point where the growth curve is not as sharp and people are just trying to hold on to the land that they've acquired. Anybody watch Yellowstone? Kevin Costner's up there just trying to hold on to that land for this whole time, and somebody else is trying to come for it, and they're using everything they can to come for it, right? And several years ago, Ted Ray Moot told me that we're in the Medicare land grab right now. Everybody's trying to grab as much as they can, grabbing it through acquisition, grabbing it through grassroots marketing, grabbing it through controlled distribution, live transfers, grabbing it through, actual strong Facebook marketing, strong traditional marketing, strong TV, Joe Namath stuff, all sorts of land grab activity going on, tons and tons and tons of that. And when the land grab at some point feels complete or at critical mass, then, the people that are holding on to the largest blocks are going to be the safest. And that large block doesn't mean you have to be the top 2 or top 3 or top 5 or top 10, but at some point you have to be relevant. Holding on to a couple hundred lives may not be relevant for you, because once they terminate you and you don't have any ability to write anymore, they know that the majority of that's going to be absorbed, by them anyway. Some of those people aren't going to change. And if they cut small agents all across the board without, the real, I'm just telling you guys, or if the commissions are cut in some way to make it less impactful, the cost per acquisition is going up because there's less people to grab. And I'm talking, I don't know. It all depends on how fast it grows. COVID accelerated the impact of it by making more people desire a telephonic relationship. More people go to the internet. It accelerated it by, just probably rapid digital expansion, rapid plan expansion. It accelerated it by hurting the hospital systems recently as coming out of that, and them having to look for alternative revenue streams. And they couldn't sit around and be so negative to certain plans, and now they're having to partner with other plans. There's all sorts of factors here on the distribution side that will change things. Now, for those of you that are saying, people have been telling me since 1982 that the thing, I get it. That's true. That's very, very true. Everybody's always said this. And so the landscape could expand, but you've also been in a market that has continued to expand its product offering because it's been growing that entire time. So many of those people were investing in the infrastructure for years, with the expectation of exactly what's happening now. But that doesn't mean it'll continue forever. I made mention of the small bookstore yesterday, and somebody said, I visit small bookstores all the time. But come on, you can't actually believe that the small bookstore market hasn't been impacted by the internet and Amazon, right? There's some novelty bookstores, and there's some, there can be a resurgence of nostalgia and people wanting to be part of that, and that's true. But as far as the everyday corner bookstore, it was impacted by the Books A Million, the Barnes and Noble, and now those even collectively been impacted by the Amazon concept, right? So you really got Barnes and Noble and Amazon pretty much, right? And then whatever other few that are out there. But there's so many industries that change like this, so many consolidations that happen, and you have to pay attention to more than just the consolidation effect. Is the market growing? Is the market shrinking? Or is the market staying stagnant? And we've been part of a extremely rapid growing market for a long time now, and we're going to soon be part of a market that is probably flat. And when I say soon, 10 years, that's why I say, I think 10, I think that, but I would prepare personally for 3 to 5 for some changes, not all changes, not a flattening, like we're going to terminate all independent agents, but quotas to keep appointments. I mean, they already have, conceptually, like you have to, write an application to keep your appointment. But what happens when they say you got to write 10? How many agents does that get rid of? What happens when they say you got to write 50? With the carrier. You already have this with ACA. Some of the ACA carriers won't keep you appointed. So all I'm saying is it's not negative. It's positive, as in you're in a market that is shifting so rapidly that if you grab the damn bull by the horns, you can be part of this amazing market. Amazing. But if you stand idly by and think that you'll be able to make 100, 150, 120, 80,000 a year without having to expand your focus or growing, you might end up getting cut out. And if you're 60 or 62 or 65 or 70, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking, you're probably going to sell anyway. I'm talking about the people that are pandering to the desires to be 30-year-old community agents writing 30 applications a year and saying it's not all about money. Because it isn't all about money, but it's a little about money. Because it is. Money makes the whole damn world go around. It doesn't mean it doesn't mean that you're some sort of asshole, for like recognizing that, you know. It's just it's not negative to scale. Scaling to 3, 4, 5 agents and LOAs and creating a small office that's desirable for either acquisition or desirable enough to keep around over time is not a bad thing. It's going to make you more money. It's going to help more Medicare beneficiaries, and you're going to help employees instead have a career path. And you're going to be pushing money into the marketplace. You're going to be paying taxes via payroll taxes and income taxes and everything. Everybody is helped by this concept. It's not a bad thing. So it's crazy to me that it, is kind of, positioned as we're talking negatively about the small agents that don't want to grow, or we're doomsdaying. It's not doomsdaying, because if everything I say is like completely off and you grew your business because I told you to, like, did I hurt you? But if you say nothing's ever going to change, I can sit here and keep coasting, and then I'm still wrong, so what? You were going to do that anyway. What did I change? Okay. Anyway, I hope this at least helps you understand some of the sentiment. There's a lot more concepts that I've written down. I have my belief based on conversations I have all day. I don't sit around talking to Medicare beneficiaries all day anymore. I spend most of my days talking to, different types of roles at carriers. I talk to different types of roles at, larger IMOs and call centers, and then smaller to mid-size agency owners and agents. And the things that I'm saying are based on what I believe. I even talking to hospital groups and building relationships with them and talking about their revenue struggles. Not naming any names, but I know a lot of people, and I think that it's not like anybody's making the exact same assumption I am, because nobody wants to, be bold enough to make, an assumption, because nobody knows what's going to happen. There's too many variables. But based on the current trend, there's a high possibility that if you do not scale or sail, that you will have to change careers or career paths. Good news is there'll probably be plenty of offices that will hire you as a W-2. They're just not going to give you a contract and let you go do whatever you want to all day, because most agents do suck. Most do suck. That might not be anybody listening to this right now. Maybe you're all great. I'm not saying most of you suck, but most agents don't do anything. They don't do anything. And if you're listening to this and you were out in the field before, think about the times that you skipped an appointment because you were kind of tired and you just didn't want to do it. And you went and sat at the gas station, or you went to eat lunch early because that house looked shitty, or where you just didn't call the leads you bought. And if you have agents that work for you, think about how many you've had that didn't call anybody or didn't work the leads that you were paying for. And then tell me I'm lying, that most people are lazy. When given the opportunity to be lazy, that most people are lazy. And if that's the truth, then most independent agents with no supervision are probably going to default on lazy, because most people end up in insurance thinking, I want to be my own boss, but that doesn't mean, and I want to make a lot of money, but that doesn't mean I really have the fortitude to do that. You know, the number one thing that I get from somebody that finished college is not that the college degree brings any value, but that they have a persistence in them to finish something. And so, I mean, and that's true, you know, and it's becoming less and less, you know, important. But, you know, but finding someone who didn't do that, who doesn't have any sort of like explanation for for their lack of progress in the first 10, 15, 20 years of their life, typically it's because they're lazy and they don't see things through. Because if you see anything through, you'll probably be profitable at it at some point. All right. Lots of comments, lots of stuff here. I hope that really, really resonates with some of you. I hope some of you are really pissed off, because I like that too. Reactions are what content is all about. If you don't invoke a reaction, your content is worthless. If 50% of the people in the world hate me, I can be president. And apparently now you can even say pussyfoot and be president. So it's all fair game. All right. I'm going to show you guys an ad for Go Guru now. Thank you for being on.
It's time to grow your agency like a guru. Introducing Go Guru Pro. The Go High Level platform allows for minimizing software-based subscriptions and grants control over several facets of marketing and communication. Automate your workflow, communicate with your leads, book appointments in advance, and house all your clients in one secure location. Visit goguru.pro and schedule your one-on-one demo today. It's time to train like a guru. Go Guru University is an ever-expanding, cutting-edge, interactive training platform with live weekly coaching calls constructed to train agents efficiently and compliantly. Go Guru University offers a library of training modules explaining Medicare A to Z, face-to-face and telesales training, SEO and other marketing, and much more. Visit goguru.university to schedule your one-on-one demo.